Well, good morning, Facebook. I hope you're having a great day so far. It is a new day and time for our weekly morning show. On the West Coast, it is the morning, so I have my wonderful Yeti mug, which, by the way, this thing is amazing. It's the hottest coffee. Mm. Okay, why are we here today? Today, we are all going to be focused on how to ensure you deliver your message with the highest impact possible. It's really, when it comes to presenting, it's more than just what you have to say. It's how you say those words that really is what resonates with your audience. So today I'll be sharing with you my delivery core 4, which essentially are the 4 areas that I believe that you should focus on to ensure that you show up with the best presence possible when it comes to communicating with your audience. So I'm Heather Sager. If you are new to watching my weekly show, I am an entrepreneur and speaker coach, and I help good presenters become exceptional speakers. And I believe this is possible by fine-tuning the things that really make a difference in communication. And that's all about her delivery skills, which is why I love this topic today. So tell me below, if you're jumping on, tell me a little bit about how presenting shows up for you. Leave it in the comments below so I get to know you a little bit more. I'd love to understand what it is that you do for a job, or if you're a business owner, what is your business, and how do you see speaking or presenting showing up for you on a daily basis? And that'll allow me to customize this content that I share each week, as well as the information on my website, to make sure that it's even more valuable for you. So let's talk about delivery skills. So I don't know about you, but used to, when I build presentations, and sometimes, sadly, I still do, I spend so much time coming up with the content ideas. We spend so much time developing our ideas and really focusing on what words we should deliver. What are the core components of our message? We talk about what stories we want to share, and I talk about these things all the time, and they are so important. But your words matter, but how you deliver those words matters even more. Have you ever been in a meeting before and had someone say something and it just didn't get noticed, and then 10 minutes later somebody else said the exact same thing and everyone was like, "Oh, what a great idea"? If you're the person in that position that was first to share, that can be extremely frustrating. But in general, let's use that analogy and pretend that wasn't you. Usually what happens is, when we're ready to hear a message, there's 2 things that pop up. One is timing, for sure. The second thing, though, is a person's ability to deliver information in a captivating and compelling way. That's what allows other people to really hear it. And when it comes to your presentation skills, it's important to me to ensure that you feel confident, not only in your message, but you have the skills and the tools that you need to ensure your audience hears your message. I'll pull from a very highly paraphrased quote from Don Miller, who is the founder of StoryBrand. If you're looking for a great read or a great podcast to listen to, StoryBrand is amazing when it comes to marketing. But when he talks about marketing, what he shares is, as a business owner, it doesn't matter if you're the best at what you do, and it doesn't matter if your business is amazing. If people don't understand what it is that you have to offer, it doesn't matter. It's not about the best product or the best service. It's about the person who has the most clear message. And when it comes to communication, when it comes to delivering a presentation, the same holds true. It doesn't matter how good your content is. If it's not delivered in a compelling way that gets people wanting to listen to it, it really doesn't matter how hard you worked on that content. So let's not be the person who has good content with poor delivery. Let's ensure that you're good at both. So I'll share with you today what I call the delivery core 4. And these are the 4 things when it comes to communication you need to focus on outside of your actual words and message. So the first of the delivery core 4 is how you deliver those words. So your intonation, it's your tone, your pitch, your volume, your inflection. It's using strategic pauses to ensure that your information really sits. This is important to focus on because you can say the same thing in 2 totally different ways and have 2 completely different takeaways. For example, let's say you're talking to, or you ran in at the grocery store, you ran into a friend you haven't seen in a long time. You could say something like, oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy that I bumped into you today. Or you could say, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad I bumped into you today. Two totally different messages, or same script, two totally different messages. You have to really ensure that your intonation when you speak, whether it's in front of a live audience or showing up in a staff meeting or delivering information on video, you have to be really intentional around how you use your voice to portray your message. Delivery core 4 number 2 is facial expressions. I talked about this a couple weeks ago on Instagram. Have you heard of the term RBF, or as I like to call it, resting not so nice person face? Yeah, that's a thing that many of us struggle with. For me, when I was a kid, so you can see with my bone structure, I have a really narrow face, and specifically I have a really narrow mouth. And when I was in the 2nd grade, I remember getting ready for school photos. My mom let me pick out my outfit. Picture this, it was a denim dress that had this giant ruffle that went across here, and it had a hot pink bow tie. Yeah, this was definitely in the 80s. It was a beautiful outfit. I loved it. And I was so excited for school photos because I had seen a fashion magazine at the dentist's office earlier that month. And I decided that I wanted my school photos to look just like the models in magazines. So I took my photos. I was so excited. And weeks or months later, this is back in the day of film, my photos, I got them at school and I brought them home, so excited to show my mom. And I remember she opened up the envelope and looked, and she was so, I don't remember if she was mad or she was laughing or disappointed, but it was not what she was expecting, for sure. My face was so serious, and my narrow lips were so narrow, I looked so mad. 2nd grader Heather just staring down at that camera, just mean mugging. And that was the day that I learned of, maybe not in this term, but I learned of resting not so nice person face. And I learned that my bone structure, which might be similar to you, does not allow for a natural setting face. It does not indicate to people that I am content or happy. So I have to work really hard to ensure that my facial expressions really match the energy that I'm trying to put into a room. So if I'm trying to come across as content or happy or excited, I really have to ensure that I am constantly smiling, both with my mouth, but also with my eyes, to ensure that others feel the warmth of my message. And when I'm talking about something really serious, I have to ensure that I'm still very cognizant of how my face comes across, because I don't want the seriousness to come across as anger or disgust or any of those types of things. So your facial expressions, just like your tone, matter and speak volumes. That's delivery core 4 number 2. For the delivery core 4 number 3, this is all about hand gestures and your posture. And this is all about getting a lot more comfortable with speaking naturally. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I've always been extremely uncomfortable with my own arms. I'm really tall and I have extremely long arms. And it took me a lot of time and a lot of practice to get a lot more comfortable using these really long limbs. So wherever you are on your comfort level with your own hands and your own limbs, it just really depends. But the goal is you need to ensure that your hand gestures add to your message. They don't become distracting from your actual message. So they can either add or detract from your message. You have to make sure that you're intentional with it. Core 4 number 3, this is 3. I was on number 3. That was hand gestures and posture. Core 4 number 4, the final one, is all about movement. So this is what's taking place within your lower body. It's how you stand. It's how you pace when you speak. Do you rock back and forth? Do you stand still? All of these things send a message, again, good, bad, or indifferent. You have to ensure that when it comes to your body language, specifically your movement, you have to be intentional. Now, this is extremely important when you're sitting in front of a room, in front of an audience. And when you're standing in front of an audience, how you choose to show up, whether you're going to stand still or you're going to pace back and forth or rock back and forth, all of those movements send a message. It could be a message of nervousness. It could be a message of insecurity, or it could be a message of confidence. How close in proximity you stand to the front row in your audience, that speaks volumes. Your movement and how you actually stand with your audience, it actually invites connection. It invites participation. So these are the delivery core four. So again, it was intonation, how you say your words. Number 2 was your facial expressions. Does this actually match your message? Delivery core 4 number 3 was all about hand gestures and posture. And then the delivery core 4 final was your movement. So physically, how do you stand or move in front of your audience? So those are the 4 areas that I would say are the most important when it comes to ensuring that your message is beyond just the words that you communicate to a person. And over the next 4 weeks, starting with today, I'll be kicking off a 4-part series. So this is part number 1, and I'll break down each of these in a little bit more detail and share with you tips and strategies around how you can not only be more aware of things like your tone and your body language, but I'll also give you some exercises and some strategies that you can apply right away in your work week. It doesn't matter if you have an actual presentation coming up, or if you are just at work or talking on the phone or in daily conversations. I'll give you some tips and strategies to use so you can start practicing your delivery. And think of it like a muscle. Your delivery skills, how you move your hands, how you hold your face, the tone and the pace in which you deliver information, those are like muscles that you have to practice. It's not just something that you can wing. These are muscles that have memory. And if you're not used to using your hands naturally, or you're not used to taking really strategic pauses when you speak, or you're not used to ensuring that your face represents your emotions, you have to practice these things so your muscle memory sticks when you get into conversations that might be a little bit more high stress, whether that's presenting in front of a room or you're in a difficult conversation at work. These are muscles that you have to exercise. So here's my first homework assignment for you. I challenge you that over the next week until we get back together again, which by the way, next week we'll be focusing on tone and delivery. So specifically that intonation. So your pitch, your tone, your pace, that's what we'll focus on next week. But until now and then, I want you to start paying particular attention to how message delivery shows up in your life. So this is you being aware of your own delivery, again, your vocal delivery, but also your body language and facial expressions in different situations. Again, whether that's actually teaching in front of a room or it's you in a daily conversation with your coworkers or your spouse, I want you to start taking notes. How do you show up with your tone? How are you showing up with your facial expressions? How are you showing up with your hand gestures? Is your body language open or closed? When you're standing in front of a room, are you pacing? Are you standing far away from your audience? Start noticing these things. And actually, you can also start taking note of these things in other people. That sometimes is a little bit easier. So that's my challenge to you this week. Start paying attention to your delivery beyond just your words. Start taking note. And then next week, we're going to focus on your tone. Again, your pitch, your pace, your cadence, your strategic pauses, all of those things. And I'll share with you some great tips for that. So until then, I'd like to know from you, when it comes to the delivery core 4, again, intonation, how you say your words, facial expressions, your hand gestures and posture, and then lastly, your movement with your feet. Which of those things do you feel the most comfortable and intentional with right now? And then which of those things do you feel that you need to work on most? Go ahead and pop those in the comments below, whether you're watching today live. Thank you for those of you who joined me live. And for those of you who are watching the replay, still put those in the comments. Again, I want to make sure that I'm delivering the best information available for you, the best information that's relevant for you each week. So if you can leave me feedback in the comments, or you can join me on my blog where I have a full blog post with more detail on this topic. Go to heathersager.com/delivery, and you can read this full blog post and put your comments below. And until then, if you'd like to stay connected every single day, I'm on the daily on Instagram at @TheHeatherSager. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining with me. And today we did it in under 15 minutes. Have a great Wednesday, guys. Talk soon.